in that particular fight scene, I think we had one camera, which is probably the result of the lack of coverage. Look, I'd prefer to definitely work with one camera if I actually had the time to do that. Two cameras are a lifesaver in situations where you're running out of time. You can, within one take, you can knock off a scene, or not one take, but one setup and a second camera running beside you. So they can speed up things enormously. And so I would always carry a second camera with me unless I ever got to the point in my career where I could actually have as many days I wanted to shoot a movie.
How long would you like to take?
Until it's finished. I think that would be the best world to be in. When it's finished, it's finished. You know, what more can I say?
But you're so meticulous. I can imagine this taking 2 years.
No, I wouldn't abuse my power too much. You know, I would just a little bit, perhaps. You know.
If I wanted ice, I would ask for ice. Now fill it up.
Fill it up yourself, macho man.
I really need you.
This is Tony Todd, who was cast in the role of Grange. It's sort of an interesting flip side in some ways to he's the chief top dollar henchman in many ways, and it's an interesting sort of flip side to the core group of people that Eric Draven has surrounding him. And in fact, I think I remember having seen Candyman and really enjoyed Tony's performance in that film. And perhaps I think the real decision to cast Tony was actually when I met him, rather than so much the work that I'd seen him in, because there was this wonderful stillness about him, and some of that came across in his work. But I really saw Grange as being this incredibly not passive. That's not the right word, but he doesn't have to do much. His energy and his tendency to violence is like below the surface. I had to really struggle to convince Ernie Hudson to do this in underwear and a hat. He really did not want to do it. He just thought it was really dumb. And that's kind of what I liked about it. I like the fact that there's this cop who's come home and he's actually forgotten to take his hat off, and he's like stripped down to his to his underwear. But it took some convincing to get him to do it, but I'm glad he did.
Don't ever do that, man.
Good likeness.
I saw your body, man.
He gets to take it off, yeah. We didn't make him do the whole scene that way.
You still have your hat on.
I gotta sit down. Shit. Holy shit. Say.
He's kind of an empath, and he can absorb pain from people and objects, I think, as well. I think, and we had this flashing concept, which images sort of flash at you, which has also become a sort of device now. It's a convention, which I'm pretty sure we invented, the whole thing of visualizing this sort of absorption of emotions or pain in that way. Yeah, he manages to absorb this stuff and then to give it back to the man who was the cause of it. But for me, it's kind of, again, it's like an unexplained part of the film, and it's kind of why I like it, because it's if a major studio had made this film, we would have had some convoluted explanation for why this was occurring, and we don't even bother, you know.
I saw her through your eyes. You stayed with her the whole time.
Yeah, well, you gotta understand something, all right?
Yeah, in this scene, you see the slashes in Eric's coat that Funboy made in the previous scene that was removed. Funboy slashed him with the razor, and that's why they're there. But you don't, in the context of this cut, you don't really know where they came from. He's been through a lot by now, you know. I mean, I think I explained it to myself when we removed that scene as, oh, maybe that happened when he stepped through the plate glass window or something. Who the hell knows, you know. Brandon's wardrobe was really quite fabulous for this movie, because I don't know how many coats we had. I think we probably had about 20 of them. Because obviously when the film is shot out of sequence, as all films are, he goes through every scene Brandon goes through, his wardrobe is distressed further and further. Everything he walks into, he comes out of with more slashes and cuts and whatever. And so to do that, we had many stages of the coat that we would have to be careful of which one he was wearing for which particular scene. It was kind of a little bit of a struggle to keep up with, you know, where we were at there. And ironically, you know, you cut one scene as we did, and all the logic goes out the window.
I'm sorry as hell for what happened to you and your girlfriend.
Yeah.
I got stabbed. I shot the son of a bitch. I watched the bullet hole close by itself. And my business gets blown up real good. Other than that,
I mean, you want to see these guys get it, you know. I think it's the function of a revenge movie is you want to see the people who have inflicted so much pain get their comeuppance, and that's why we enjoy this sort of macabre genre. And so the nastier these guys can be, the more pleasurable it is when Brandon's character appears and deals with them. And it's also fun to see them. I mean, it's all about fun. I enjoy seeing these kind of badder than bad people kind of being badder and worse to each other. I think it's so over the top and crazy that you kind of you derive some strange pleasure from it.
you know, you're directly out of your fucking mind. You know that?
Yeah, I see. One of the most important things I learned from my sister.
Sister. She's supposed to be your sister.
My father's daughter. That's right. What's the matter? You don't see the resemblance? Well, let's take it from the top, friend. A lot of detail. What do you say?
He had a bird with him. Nearly pecked my face off. He told me to tell T-Bird that death was on its way, whatever the fuck that means. And Draven. He said his name was Eric Draven. Want to relax that thing now?
Yeah, I think David Scow has got a real talent for writing the best one-liners. You know, he's often his scenes are structured with these one-liners, and again, it's like pushing the sort of genre to an interesting place. I mean, the sort of quirky, you know, witty one-liners kind of by this stage, you know, I guess they became common in the 80s, in 80s action movies. But really kind of the concept of like almost constructing entire scenes out of nothing but one-liners is really something that I think Scow pioneered in many ways.
For fuck's sake, die, will you? Give me that thing. Thanks.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff, and everyone got into the style of this and really went for it, and there were some really cute things that came out of that.
I'll have the janitor come on up.
Eric Draven was first conceived as, in the comic book, as a, I guess, as a handyman and so we decided to change him into a guitarist because I felt that to justify the use or even overuse of loud rock and roll in the movie, there had to be some reason for doing that, and this was the best one I could come up with at the time. So that was definitely a decision that I imposed on the film. Yeah. Oh, the old LP. It was actually old-fashioned even in those days, but I have this sort of, perverse fascination for old technology, and I hate computer screens in films, and I even find CDs and even like modern phones kind of an intrusion on the story. I find them very kind of sterile. I like old technology because I like wheels that turn and lights that flash. I think that's all really cool stuff, and it seems like technology is sort of too clean and too antiseptic these days. So in this film is very subtly a period film. I mean, it's not exactly a modern day film. I mean, seeing it now, you don't really get that, but at the time there were a lot of anachronisms, and it kind of just it allows you to sort of create your own universe rather than sort of conforming with the world that really is out there.
Smokes and rolls.
Yeah, originally in this